everybody. Let's look at some basic figure of speech, and we're going to run this very, very fast. Don't worry about it. The concept of figure of speech means beautify our speech. Part of speech is actually the component of speech. We talk about the noun, the pronoun, the verb, the adverb. Those are the component of speech. But figures of speech are the beautifier of speech, as actually things that make you look good when you talk. Literature, figure of speech is what gives color to yours. Well, first and foremost, the most popular figure of speech is simile. Simile is the use of as and like for the purpose of comparison. She is as tall as a tree. He is as stubborn as a goat, or she is like a goat, or she is like a lion. She is like a lion. Toby Amazon is a lion. It's like a cheetah on the track. That is a comparison. That is a comparison. So now, how is it different from metaphor? Metaphor is therefore a more direct comparison without the use of as and like. Instead of saying she's like a goat, you say she's a goat. Instead of saying she is as stubborn as a goat, you say she's a goat. Instead of saying she's as brave as a lion, you say she's a lion. It's usually a direct comparison. And don't forget that metaphor is actually one of the most difficult figures of speech to actually identify. I used to tell my students, and you understand your metaphor, you're as good as anything. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is personification. Personification is a figure of speech where animate qualities are given to inanimate things, meaning that the qualities of human beings are given to things that are not human. For example, examination is knocking at the door. It's human being that knocks, but when you suddenly give the quality of human being to knock, suddenly give it to examination, you have personified examination. For example, our pen was dancing furiously on the paper. Our pen was dancing furiously on the paper. That is an example of personification. Another figure of speech I would like to talk about is irony. Irony is when what we say is the opposite of what we mean. Judas Iscariot is the most loyal or faithful disciple of Jesus Christ. That's not what we mean. Or probably you see the very short guy and say, oh, here comes the tallest guy in our street. Maybe you're looking at one of the most terrible presidents we've ever had in this country and say, oh, here comes our best president. When what I say is the opposite of what I mean, that is irony. Most of the irony is just a form of making, it's an indirect way of either mockery or creating humor. Another figure of speech that is so important is what I call oxymoron. Oxymoron is placing two opposite words or two contradictory words side by side. I used to give this example to my student anytime I'm talking about this oxymoron. And Whitney Houston, in a stanza of her song, used oxymoron, in fact, in the most perfect way you can be. There's a verse that says, she said, bittersweet memories, that is all I'm taking with me. So the word bittersweet memories, bitter and sweet are two opposite words. So sometimes they may not be two opposite words. Sometimes it may just be two contradictory words. If I say, oh, I offer that is sweet revenge. Revenge and sweet are contradictory. When you put them together, it become oxymoron. Or you say, oh, that boy is a slow poison. The word slow and poison are two contradictory words. But when it is used together, you create an oxymoron. Now, another figure of speech I want us to talk about is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound. Now, I wouldn't want you to confuse it for now with consonants and whatever, but let us say for now, alliteration is repetition of consonant sound. Peter Papa picked a peck of pickled pepper. Father Francis fried a fresh fish on Friday. Repetition of fish sound and P sound. Assonance. Another one I would like to talk about is assonance. Assonance is a repetition of vowel sound. Eat, don't eat, eat. Repetition of the E sound or the S sound and all. So that gives us an example of assonance. Another one is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is when the sound something makes suggests the meaning of it. For example, the boom of the gun, the screeching of the car tire, the meow of a cat, the roar of a lion, the bleat of a goat, the bark of the dog, the ease of a snake, the neigh of a horse, the moo of a cow, the grunt of the pig, the chirping of the insect or of the cricket. I know when the sound something made the laugh of the hyena is used to suggest the meaning of it, then we say that is onomatopoeia. I went to end the segment with paradox. Paradox is one of the most impressive figures of speech I would love to talk about. Paradox is a figure of speech where two opposite statements are placed side by side. In layman's interpretation of paradox, I can just say paradox is when viewed from a denotative point of view, is seen not to make sense, but in deeper meaning, on a connotative meaning, it has an element of truth. Example is slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady should lose the race, but slow and steady, when you look at it deep, if you take your time in life, you will win. Another one is much haste, less speed. Much is, if you run too fast in life, you miss it. Another one, the child is the father of the man. It doesn't make sense to human reason. On a deeper low, the child at a time, at one point, will become the father of the man. Let me quickly just chip this in as an addition before I leave. I was mentioned talking about denotation and connotation the other time. Denotation simply means the literal meaning of a word, while connotation means the literary meaning of a word. Literary meaning means figurative meaning. In another way, I can say denotation is reading the lines, reading through the lines. But connotation is reading in between the lines, meaning the deeper. If I say the man kicked the man kicked the bucket is not literally denotative. It means maybe as well also in kick the bucket, but in a connotative and deeper meaning, it means the man died. I forgot to add two more figures of speech to this. I think let me quickly chip this in, which is so important. Is hyperbole. Hyperbole is deliberate exaggeration of a fact. Deliberate exaggeration of a fact. Deliberate exaggeration of a fact. If I say he can hit the mountain of fufu, he drank water. Yoruba used to say that, oh, ofile potin, ofona roka. Mean the concept of, oh, the whole of the house is packed with wine, and the whole of the land filled with amala, with the delicacy food. It's an exaggeration. Somebody will say, oh, I thank him 1,000 times. Oh, I cried blood when my father died. When it is exaggerated, then we will say that is an hyperbole. An hyperbole. Some people call it hyperbole, but I call it hyperbole. Hyperbole. And also finally is euphemism. Euphemism is when I use pleasant words for unpleasant thing. When mild words are used in place of harsh words. Instead of saying the man died, we say he kicked the bucket. Instead of saying the king, Yoruba used to say that instead of saying obaku, they say obawaja, meaning that the king ascends to the upper chamber. So when I use pleasant word for unpleasant, instead of going to the toilet, I say, oh, I want to ease myself, I want to go to the restroom, I want to go to the comfort station. You say, oh, that girl is a prostitute. No, she's not a prostitute, she's a lady of easy virtue, or she's a lady of the night. You say, oh, that guy is a thief. No, he's light fingered. Or the gentleman of the highway. Such words are used when we don't want to use the harsh words, especially when you are in such a gathering where you need to choose your words carefully. I remember a lady when she wanted to tell me that she lost her dad. Instead of saying her dad died, she just told me that my father has joined the heavenly choir. And that was a perfect example of euphemism. So when you begin to employ this into your words, into how you use your words, you find out that in a matter of time, you are able to find speech better for you, and you can conveniently be a master of English. And for literature students, this actually will help you in your exam, especially those of you planning for English and whatever. You need to know these figures of speech.